Hi, welcome to yoga class. My name is Candy Block. I'll be leading this practice. Today, we're really going to focus on the time that we give ourselves to really settle into a posture. I found in my own yoga practice when I was really first getting started that I would want to really rush to get to a posture. And so I would just land there no matter what it looked like, that's where I stayed until the teacher told me to move on to the next posture. And as I've practiced longer, I've learned that if I really give myself time to just settle in, really check my alignment, then I can find this calm and the stillness while I'm holding a posture. And so that's what we're going to practice today on the mat. So to get started, let's go ahead and come to all fours. Finding a nice, strong tabletop position. We want our shoulders right over our elbows and then elbows right over the wrists and then hips right over the knees. We'll extend the right leg back behind us, keeping the toes on the mat, just beginning with a little bit of a calf stretch. So we'll push back, pressing the heel towards the back of the mat. And then maybe even do a couple of rocks back and forth here. Just kind of feeling into this stretch. A nice slow warm up today. We'll bring the knee back underneath of us and then take that stretch on the other side, extending the left leg behind us. Toes stay on the mat, pressing the heel towards the back of the mat. And then maybe even adding that rock back and forth. Maybe beginning to take some slow inhales through the nose and nice slow exhales out of the nose. We'll bring our left knee back underneath of us, finding our strong tabletop position. We'll extend the right leg back this time. You can keep the toes on the mat and then just lift the foot about a foot off the mat. So notice if you have a tendency that you want to go crazy high and bring that leg back down, really engaging through the core. You can even look underneath of you to make sure you can see your toes. And if your toes are facing down towards the mat, that's going to help keep your hips in alignment. Then we're going to lift the left arm like we're shaking somebody's hand. Take an inhale here to find length. And then exhale, round everything in, touching the elbow to the knee. Take an inhale, find length. And then exhale, round everything in. One more time. Inhale, find length. And then exhale, round everything in. Bring the hand and the knee back down to the mat. We'll take that on the other side, extend the left leg back, and then lift the toes about a foot off of the mat. So again, we're trying to get our hips parallel here. Give yourself time to set this up. Look underneath if you see which direction your toes are pointing or flexed through the left foot. And then extend the right arm out in front like you're shaking somebody's hand. Inhale to find length. Exhale, round everything in. Inhale, find length. Exhale, round everything in. One more time. Inhale, find length. Exhale, elbow to knee. And then place the hand and the knee back on the mat. We'll extend the right leg behind us one more time. This time we're placing the foot to the outside of the left foot. And then bring your gaze over your left shoulder, looking towards your heel. So really we're making like a C shape with our body here. You might feel this in the outer hip, maybe the rib cage as well. Take one more slow inhale. And then as you exhale, we'll bring the knee back underneath of us. Taking that on the other side, we'll lift the left leg and then place it to the outside of the right foot. And then bring the gaze over the right shoulder, looking at our heel. One thing you can do here as well is like a little shift back and forth with the heel. So I notice I feel more of a stretch when I push my heel more over towards my big toe edge. So you can kind of play with that. See where you feel it the most in your outer hip, maybe even in the rib cage. Again, nice slow breaths in through the nose and out through the nose. One more big inhale. And then as you exhale, slowly bring the knee back underneath of you. Go ahead and sink the hips back, coming into a child's pose. Pausing here, just noticing how the shoulders feel, just taking the weight off of the wrists. You might even flip the hands up towards the sky. Taking 5 breaths. One more big inhale. And then as you exhale, we're coming back up to our tabletop position. Tuck your toes and then press back to downward facing dog. Give yourself a moment to land here. So this is one of the postures that I oftentimes see students just come back and then they hold no matter how it actually feels in their body. And I can tell you, I've been practicing yoga for 10 years. And really, there's very, very, very few times that I've ever just landed in my first down dog for the day and felt like, yeah, I nailed it. This is exactly how I want to hold. And so give yourself time to really shift through the feet, pedal it out, maybe even sway the hips side to side, bending the knees. You can even look up towards the hands. Notice which direction your fingers are pointing. We want the index finger facing straight forward. We'll take an inhale to the balls of the feet. And then exhale, root the heels back down towards the mat. Inhale to the balls of the feet. And as you exhale, slowly step to the top of the mat, coming into your forward fold. And we're going to stay here for a moment. So go ahead and heel toe the feet about hip distance apart. You can place a soft bend in the knees and then let the torso hang heavy. Let the head hang heavy. And then breathe. Really notice where your head is at in space. Maybe even kind of shaking it yes and no, side to side. For me, that always helps me bring awareness to the muscles in the back of my neck and just notice if I'm holding tension there, and then I can really let it go. We'll take an inhale, waving the spine up, half lift, and then exhale, bend the knees deeply, waving the spine up, vertebrae by vertebrae, coming to stand at the top of the mat. Inhale, sweep the arms out around overhead. And then exhale, hinge at your hips, fold over your legs. Inhale, wave the spine up, half lift, and then exhale, plant your hands, stepping back to plank, top of a push-up. Hold here for a moment. I know this is one of those postures that we want to rush through, so make sure your shoulders right over the wrists, hips are nice and high, really engage through the core. We'll rock forward on our tiptoes in this first one, lower down to the knees, and then lower to the earth, keeping the elbows in towards the rib cage. Untuck the toes, pressing the tops of the feet into the earth, and inhale, lift the heart, baby cobra. Exhale, come back down. One more time. Inhale, lift, baby cobra. And then exhale, back down. Make your way to downward facing dog. Tuck the toes. Press up, and then hips go back. Again, adjust your stance a little bit, pedal out the feet. Take your time arriving here. We'll inhale the right leg up and back, three-legged down dog. And then as you exhale, quietly step the foot between the hands, setting up your runner's lunge first, and then inhale the arms up to high crescent lunge. Now I want you to take a moment and just drop your arms. We're really going to focus on the legs, get them set up. If you're feeling kind of wobbly, you might want to heel toe the front foot a little closer to the outside edge of the mat so we're not walking a tightrope. We want to be high on the ball of the back foot and then sinking forward, getting the front knee over the front ankle. If you find that when you press up on the ball of the back foot, your knee's going way far forward, you might need to widen your stance and scoot that back leg back a little bit. When we feel sturdy in the legs, we'll inhale the arms up. Exhale to settle into this posture, holding for 3 breaths. Notice how much easier it is to find calm in the stillness when we've taken that time to set ourselves up. Take one more inhale here. And then exhale, open it up to warrior 2. Again, we're going to drop our arms and really get our legs set up here. So for me, I usually have to scoot my back leg out just a tiny bit. Really make sure we're pressing all the way down through the leg to the outer edge of the foot. We want our front knee over our front ankle, and that means we need to sink our hips a little bit lower. Feel the quad firing up, and then extend the arms. Keeping the shoulders nice and soft. Gazing over the front middle fingers. We're holding here for 3 breaths. Notice you may feel your legs shaking a little bit. The muscles are firing up. That's okay. We can still relax through the shoulders. One more big inhale. As we exhale, we're straightening through the front leg, coming into our triangle pose. I'm cutting my right hip back under the left, reaching as far forward as I can, and then dropping the arms. I like to use a block here on the inside of my leg, but you can also rest the hand on the shin. Gaze can go up towards the top hand, or you can also look forward or drop the neck. So we're looking down at the hand on the block or the shin. And again, breathe here for 3 breaths. Now really engaging through the legs and the core. We're going to inhale, sweeping the right arm up and back, reversing our triangle, thinking about our right hip bone shooting up towards the ceiling. And then exhale, windmill the hands down, frame the front foot. We're going to heel toe the right foot to the edge of the mat, bringing both hands on the inside, and then lower the back knee, untuck the back toe, and stay here for lizard. So in lizard, we can keep our hands up and just stay exactly where we are. You might want to roll to the outside edge of the front foot, making sure you keep the foot flexed, and then you can press into the knee. Maybe that helps you open the hips a little bit more. And then you can also always come down onto elbows, using blocks to prop yourself up. I'm going to stay up today and just press into my hip. This feels like a really nice hip opener for me. We really just want to give ourselves time to settle into this. So when a teacher is giving you all of these options, maybe you want to go through a few of them just to see what feels good in your body. If you've been practicing for a while, you might know what you're really needing today. And just know it's going to be different every time we arrive on the mat. So no expectations of what this should look like. Just feel into it. And we want to find a stretch that is sustainable so we can hold and really sink into the stillness. Take one more big inhale. And then exhale, we're going to bring the hands back to the inside of the foot, tuck the back toe, lift the back knee, and then step back to downward facing dog. Take a moment, you may want to lift this hip and kind of circle it out a little bit. And then place the foot back on the earth. We'll inhale, lift the left leg up, three-legged down dog. And then as you exhale, quietly step the foot between the hands. We'll inhale up to find our high crescent lunge and then bring the arms down. We're going to find this pose in the legs first. Maybe heel toeing the front foot a little wider, pressing up high on the ball of the back foot, and then sinking down so we're getting our knee right over the ankle. This should feel like a stretch in the hip flexor. So notice if you're not really feeling that and see if you can maybe tuck the tailbone a little bit under. Inhale the arms back up. Exhale to settle into this posture, holding here for 3 more breaths. Take another big inhale. And as you exhale, open it up to warrior 2. Again, set yourself up, lower the arms, give yourself a chance. You can look down at your feet. Really make sure you're finding the right alignment. If we just land in this posture every time with really terrible alignment, that's what we're training our body to do. So it's better to slow down, find this posture, and then settle in. So make sure we're pressing through the outside blade of the foot, sinking our hips a little bit lower, getting that front knee over the ankle. I'm feeling it. Quads are firing up. Inhale the arms out wide, soft gaze over the front fingers, and then breathe. 3 more breaths. One more big inhale. And then exhale straight into that front leg. Whew, that feels good. We're going to come into our triangle, cutting our left hip underneath of the right, reaching forward, extending all the way through the side body, the obliques, the fingers, and then dropping down to our triangle pose. Again, for me, it feels good to have a block. If you don't have a block at home, that's okay. You can always rest the hand right on the shin. And then you can look up towards the top hand. You can look forward, or you can just let the head hang heavy, looking down towards the hand that's on the block or your shin. Again, holding here for 3 breaths. We'll inhale, lift the left arm up, reversing our triangle, thinking about shooting that left hip bone up towards the ceiling. And then exhale, windmill the hands down, framing the front foot. We're going to heel toe the left foot to the outer edge of the mat, bringing both hands on the inside, and then drop the back knee, untuck the toe for lizard pose. Again, we can stay here up on our hands. That's totally fine if you're really feeling this in the hips. We might want to roll to the outside edge of the foot, keeping it flexed, and then press into the leg. Or you can play with coming down onto your elbows, using any blocks or props. We're holding here for a minute. Again, once you settle in, see if you can notice the difference between wanting to shift and move in your body because your brain is just like, hey, I don't want to be here anymore. Let's move. That's usually just like an anxiety type of response that we have. We're releasing a lot of tension in the hips. So just notice if you can breathe through that. There's always a difference between shifting because something physically hurts, that we know the difference between like an injury pain versus just that uncomfortable shifting, because we just don't want to sit still. So see if we can breathe through that. Avoid making those types of adjustments once we've found the posture that we want to hold. We'll slowly bring our hands back down to the mat, moving any props out of the way. We'll tuck the back toe, lift the back knee, and then step back to downward facing dog. Take a moment if you want to circle out the hip. This is a great time to do that. We'll lower the foot back down onto the mat and then come down onto the knees, finding a child's pose once more. If that was a lot in your shoulders, you may want to bring the arms back and by your side, like you're reaching for your heels. Just letting the head rest heavy on the mat. Coming back to your breath. Allowing the hips to sink towards the heels, for the torso to hang heavy. And then we'll slowly come back up to a seated position. We're going to come down onto our backs. We'll take one more stretch before we wrap up the practice. So lowering the spine onto the mat, hug the knees in towards the chest. We'll slowly place the soles of the feet onto the earth. We're going to come into a bridge pose. So for me, it makes sense when I have my arms by my side, I like to have my heels close enough to my butt that I can brush my fingertips along the backs of the heels. However, I have really long arms, so find a spot where this is comfortable. Usually the heels are pretty close to the butt. Then we'll press the navel down into the mat and begin to lift the hips, waving the spine off of the mat. And then you can bring the hands underneath of you and then maybe scoot one shoulder and then the other underneath, pressing a little bit higher. We can really press through the arms and the hands here. And then we're holding for 5 breaths. See if you can really focus on your breath here. I really like this posture because I can really actually visualize the air coming into the belly. And then exhale, letting everything go. Take one more inhale. See if you can lift the hips just a little bit higher. And then unclasp the hands, waving the spine back down onto the mat. Hug the knees in towards the chest one more time. We'll extend the legs long on the mat for Shavasana. I'll take this one with you. The legs can be about as wide as the mat, just letting the feet fall open. The arms are down by the side, palms facing up towards the ceiling. Take a big inhale in, filling the lungs completely. And then exhale, release any tension in the body. Feeling yourself being held by the earth for Shavasana. And slowly begin to bring some movement back into the fingers and toes. Begin to deepen the breath. And on your next inhale, reach the arms up overhead like it's that first stretch of the day. As you exhale, you'll slowly make your way onto either your right or left side, pausing in a fetal position. Take one more big inhale, filling the back of the lungs. Exhale, let everything go. And slowly make your way up to a seated position. Finding your easy seat. We'll bring our hands to heart center, palms to touch, thumbs against the sternum. The light in me honors and acknowledges the light in you. Namaste.